Hi, I'm Bruce Busby, President of RootsMagic, and in this short video we're going to discuss the RootsMagic Publisher. Now the Publisher is a feature which lets you combine multiple reports into a book, and you can include cover pages, title page, table of contents, index, all of those types of things in your book as well. So let's just jump right in and get started with this. So what I'm going to want to do is go here to the Publish page. So I'm going to click on Publish right here. And this is the page that if you've been doing any reports, you know this is where you can go in and do all of your standalone reports, pedigree charts, group sheets, and so on. But you have a section here under that called Books. And we want to go ahead and create a new book. So let's go ahead and click on New Book. We're going to create a new book here. And RootsMagic asked me to enter a few basic things before we go into Publisher. So it's asking for the title of the book. I'm going to call it The Big Book of Busby's. The subtitle, The Legend Continues. The author, I guess it's me. Busby Press will be the publisher, 2023, and Salem, Utah. It also asks me if I want to add any of these special sections, and if I can pick whichever ones I'm sure I want. If I'm not sure that I want a copyright or dedication, or maybe if I don't even want a title page, I can uncheck whatever I don't want, and I can go add that later at any time. So I'm going to say I want a cover page, title page, and a table of contents. I'm going to click Create, and RootsMagic opens the publisher. Here we are in the publisher for the Big Book of Busby's. And I now have my cover page, my title page, and my table of contents. Now I want to add some chapters. So I'm going to click on the Add, and RootsMagic asks me what kind of chapters I want. Now I still can add those acknowledgments and some of those others if I'd like, but you notice that there's a checkbox in front of each. That lets me actually add more than one at a time, so I don't have to go in and out. I don't have to say add if I don't want to. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say I want to add a pedigree chart, and then I want to add a narrative. And the order I check those, you'll notice when I click Add, it adds the pedigree and then the narrative. So it adds it in the order that I checked them. And so now I'm going to go in and maybe I want to make some changes. So I'm going to go into the pedigree chart and I need to pick a starting person. So I'm going to go ahead and select the starting person for my pedigree chart. I can select whatever options that I want for it and then hop back. And the narrative report, same type of thing. I'm going to pick the starting person. Okay, so I select the starting person. I can, let's say I don't need that many, 10 generations. So I'm going to do like 3 generations. And maybe I don't want to include the notes. So I just tell it no notes. Yeah, I can pick whatever options I want and pick back, and I'm good to go. Now if I click Generate Book, boom, there's my book. Okay, so right now I'm on this cover page. There's my cover page, The Big Book of Busby's, Legend Continues. There's my title page. There's my table of contents. There's my pedigree chart. There's my narrative, and the narrative continues on. And there's my end notes, and these end notes are for the whole book. So whatever chapters I put, if they support end notes, then those end notes are going to be here as well, and so on. And then at the end of the end notes, I now have my index. That's my index of names. So this index is the pedigree chart and the narrative report both. And then my index of places. And again, this index is all the places in both the pedigree chart and the narrative report. Now let's say I look at this and I want to enhance this a little bit. So I'm going to go in, click on cover page, and maybe I want to pick an image. So I'm going to say I want to pick an image. I'll just pick a person right here. And so I picked an image right there. And maybe I want to add another chapter. Well, I can come in and click plus, and I can select another chapter using that. If I want to get rid of a chapter, I select the chapter I want to get rid of and click the trash can, and it allows me to do that. If I want to do another pedigree chart, I can either just go in and say add a pedigree chart, or if I want all the same settings, but just mainly going to change the person, I can highlight it and click this button, copy the chapter. And when I copy a chapter, it creates an exact copy of that chapter. I can then click it to go change that starting person and pick a different starting person. If I want it in a different order, if I wanted it up with the other one, I can use the little up arrow and move the selected one up. I can move it down. So I can select any of these chapters and rearrange the chapters there. I don't really want this after all, so I'm going to go ahead and click the delete, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that chapter after all. But once I've made whatever changes that I want, I just click create the book, and there it is. And here's the change that I did make. I added the picture to the cover page. Everything else stayed the same. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to open up this Smith family history. Now what will happen is as I create books, the most recent few books I have will actually just show right here, and they'll be available for you to just click to open them directly. Okay, now this Smith family history book, I kind of call it the everything book, and it has a cover page, a title page, table of contents, copyright, dedication, acknowledgement. It has all the special, it has family group sheets, Onentafels, blank pages. Okay, you can add blank pages. Now that's useful if you're going to create a book and you have something that you can't really put into this book. Maybe it's an external picture or an external whatever, and you want blank pages as placeholders for that book so that the page numbering stays all correct. Well, you can do that on the blank pages. When you do this, you choose how many blank pages, and you can choose the title so that whatever you enter as the title for your blank pages shows up in the header, so that when you plug in whatever it is you want to plug into those blank pages after you've printed it, that the table of content has that denoted. Okay, in addition to blank pages, box charts, descendant lists, individual summaries, kinship list, relationship chart, narrative report, pedigree, photo tree, research notes, scrapbook, and text page. Text page is just a page where you can go in and you can just type whatever you want, and it prints that out when it prints that page. Once you've done whatever you want to do, just say generate the book. RootsMagic collects all the information on this book, and here is my cover page, title page, there's my table of content, and there's those blank pages as I showed you right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There's the blank pages, and again, whatever title you put for the blank pages would show there instead of the word blank pages. Okay, so here's my copyright page. There's my dedication, there's my acknowledgments, there's my preface, there's my family group sheet, and so on. And as I move down through each of these, you'll see there's my Onentafel blank pages, box chart, descendant list, individual summary, okay, kinship list. Now, if you put the kinship list in, be prepared. That thing can be long. That thing can, especially if you got a big database. I usually don't recommend putting that in there, but you can. Okay, your relationship chart, and that's one where in the settings you pick your two people, your narrative report, there's your pedigree chart, your photo tree, your research notes, your scrapbook. Now here's your endnotes, and these endnotes cover everything in this book. Any of those chapters in this book which support endnotes will have their endnotes listed here. And then you continue to go. There's your index of all the names in the book, and there's your index of all the places in the book, regardless of what chapter they happen to be in. Now, what makes this really powerful is once I've created that book, it's basically a template. So if I were to go back into the people and I made changes to people who appeared in that book, maybe I added some new facts, maybe I changed some dates, maybe I add other family members that would have shown up, maybe I add some other parents, maybe I add this father and mother here. Whatever I do, when I go back to publish, and I select that book again, all I have to do is click Generate Book. And RootsMagic, when it's generating the book, it's collecting the newly changed data. So this is not saving the data itself. This is saving templates on how to create the data. A pedigree chart that starts with this person, a narrative report that starts with this person, a family group sheet for this family. And if you go and make changes to the data itself, when you come back to the publisher, then it's going to regenerate using that new data. Now, once you have your book done here, you got several options. You can click on the little print button, and that will open up your print. So you can print however many copies of the book. You can collate. If you pick collate, what that means is it prints the whole book once and then it prints the whole book again. If you do 2 copies, it'll just print, two of each page. So it's just a nice little feature to have. You can also choose which pages to print and some scaling. Okay, you also can go in here and save this to a file. So if I go in here, I can save this to a PDF. That's useful if I want to send this book to somebody and I haven't, I don't necessarily want them to make any changes to it. I just want them to be able to see it. I can send that to them. I can ask them to mark it up or do whatever I want, and maybe they get back to me and I can make those changes in my database and then regenerate the book and send them an updated draft. Now, Microsoft Word, that saves it, as it says, to Microsoft Word. And what that does is creates a version of your book that you can go and edit further. So if you want things a little bit different than what the publisher actually creates, you can save it to Word and it will generate that book in Word, and then you can do whatever you want with it. Now, once you generate it in Word, one thing you can't do is you can't bring changes that you make in Word back into RootsMagic, okay? Because you're modifying an actual copy of the data as it's already been put together. And as I mentioned, each of these are not the data. They are a template on how to use the data to create this book. Okay, you do have a couple other options. I'll show these real quick. You have this manage books. So we created a new book and we've opened and edited books, but we have manage books. And what that will do is that will bring up this page and new book. This works exactly the same as that other new book, but it will list all the books you have, not just the most recent ones. And from here, you can do things like, I didn't mean to do that. If you click on it, it opens up the publisher, obviously. But let's say I wanted to rename this big book of Busby's. I can click rename, and I can change this to the Great Big Book of Busby's. And so now my book has a different name. So you can click rename to rename any book. Or if there's a book you don't want, my old book, I don't want it, I can click delete. Do you want to delete it? Yes. Now I've gotten rid of my. So if you have old books that you don't need anymore, you can just simply delete them, and so you don't have to worry about them taking space up anymore. Well, anyways, so this has been just a brief overview of Publisher, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.